Mom offered us two options. We could go with her to the Daniel family and then follow the young master to attend the best high school, but we would only be able to attend domestic universities afterward. Alternatively, we could stay in our hometown to study and, after graduating from high school, have the opportunity to study abroad. My younger sister was the first to speak up. "Mom, I want to go with you to the Daniels." Mom smiled with relief and then turned to look at me. The older sister should yield to the younger one. "I'll send you abroad later, and that will fulfill my duty as a mother." Seeing my sister clinging to Mom's arm with an expectant look, I realized she had also been reborn. Unfortunately, Jack could never fall in love with her. "Emily, the employer's family has a lot going on. My younger sister and I are leaving today. Take care of yourself at home." After packing her luggage, Mom left with Sophia. It was completely different from the previous life. Back then, to persuade Sophia to go with her to the Daniels, Mom had stayed home for an extra 10 days. In that life, after Mom presented us with the two options, Sophia quickly made her choice, opting to study abroad. After my parents' divorce, I was left with my father for a full 10 years. Mom never visited me, though I thought about her every day. It wasn't until my father passed away and the police took me to Mom's residence that I had her back in my life. When Sophia chose to study abroad, I was overjoyed. Finally, I could be with Mom every day. However, Mom wanted to take Sophia with her even more. She stayed home for 10 days, constantly trying to convince Sophia to go with her. Sophia was convinced that life was better abroad. Even when the employer's family urged Mom to return, she didn't change her mind. And so, I ended up going to the Daniels with Mom and met Jack. He was handsome, reserved, and noble, excelling in his studies. He was the Prince Charming for all the girls at school. I couldn't help but fall for him too. But I knew there was a huge gap between us, so I buried my feelings deep in my heart until after graduation. After a party, Jack, drunk, pinned me against the wall. "Emily, do you want to study abroad with me?" I held back and turned away. "I don't have the money." Jack smiled, and it felt like the whole room lit up. "I'll pay for you." At that moment, I realized the person I had secretly loved for 3 years felt the same way. Overwhelmed with happiness, I excitedly told Mom that the young master wanted to take me abroad, but she slapped me hard. "Don't you dare go. When you chose to come with me to the Daniels, you gave up studying abroad. The money I've saved is for Sophia." I covered my face and tried to explain. "The young master said I don't need to pay. He'll cover all the expenses." Mom sneered and looked at me with contempt. "How shameless. Did you climb into his bed for money? Think about your status and his. A guy like him would never take an interest in you. When he's done with you, I'll still have to pay. Don't even think about going abroad. If you disobey me, don't ever call me Mom again. And stay away from the young master. Don't interfere with my job." Perhaps because I had lacked maternal love since childhood, my greatest fear was losing Mom. I was so disheartened that I turned Jack down. However, he firmly said, "Distance isn't a problem. I have money for plane tickets." After starting college, we began a long-distance relationship, living in different countries. He flew to see me every month, and the sweetness of love filled me with hope for the future. When Mom found out about our relationship, she secretly asked Jack to look after Sophia, who was also abroad. Jack, unaware of our family situation, foolishly took care of Sophia as a brother-in-law. Then, during my senior year, I received a message from Sophia with a photo. In it, she was half naked, her arms around Jack's neck, lying on a hotel bed. "Sis, Jack and I are together now. Leave him alone." I had loved Jack for 3 years and knew he would never betray me. My first thought was that he had been set up. Furious, I called Sophia, but I didn't notice the truck speeding toward me. As my soul left my body, I overheard Mom and Sophia talking. "It's fortunate that your sister is no longer alive. You should act swiftly to win the young master's affection, ensuring your future as the mistress of the Daniel family." Sophia smiled with satisfaction. Mom is truly visionary. Sending Jack to look after me abroad allowed me to capture that photo of him when he was intoxicated. Initially, I hoped Emily would step aside on her own, but I never anticipated her death. Truly, fate has its ways. Once Jack moves past his grief, I will present myself to him. I always believed that despite Mom's favoritism, she still saw me as her daughter. Yet, I was shocked to find her unmoved by my death. Heartbroken, I wandered in search of Jack, only to discover him lifeless in the bathtub, clutching my photo. It was then I realized the depth of Jack's love for me, transcending life itself. Overwhelmed, I used all my might to trip Sophia as she descended the stairs, watching her fall to her death. Only then could my spirit find peace. Unexpectedly, I found myself back at the crossroads of my destiny, but this time, Sophia chose to join the Daniel family, convinced that Jack would fall for her. She was mistaken. Jack would never love her, and I am determined to make them pay for their past deeds. As soon as Mom and Sophia departed, my aunt suggested redecorating the room and urged me to move to campus earlier. In the past, Mom served as a nanny for the Daniel family, and we lived in my uncle's house, with Mom providing monthly living expenses. Previously, after we joined the Daniel family, Mom increased the expenses to ensure Sophia's comfort. Now, it seems Mom has ceased these payments. Without protest, I packed my belongings and left. Before heading to school, I had one more place to visit. After leaving my aunt's house, I went to the bank. Over the years, Dad had been depositing a small sum for me on each birthday, known only to me. Withdrawing the money, I boarded a long-distance bus to a secluded cemetery. It was pouring rain as I hid behind a tree, waiting. As dusk approached, a drenched 16-year-old Jack arrived, followed by bodyguards. His eyes were cold, yet his steps were resolute. He approached a tombstone and began frantically clearing the grass. "Young master, it must have been washed away by the rain. Let's return when it stops," a bodyguard suggested. Ignoring them, Jack continued until exhaustion set in. Emerging from behind the tree, I asked, "Are you looking for this?" presenting a necklace. Jack's eyes brightened as he approached. Seeing him soaked, I raised my umbrella to shelter him. He took the necklace with trembling hands, his expression softening. "How did you come by this?" he asked. In our past life, Jack had once shared his regret over losing a necklace he made with his mother at 16. I had come to rectify that regret and to reconnect with him. Shrugging, I replied, "It was washed down by the rain. I found it and thought it might be yours." "Thank you. This necklace means a lot to me. What can I offer in return?" Jack asked, still distant. "Buy me a bowl of instant noodles." "I'm cold and hungry," I stammered. Jack laughed, agreeing. Half an hour later, we shared our first bowl of instant noodles. It was unexpectedly delicious, and it became a favorite of ours in the past. After eating, Jack asked for my contact to thank me, but I declined with a smile. "We'll meet again if fate allows." As I turned away, tears welled up. I longed to embrace him and share the story of our past life, to express how much I had missed him. But such actions would surely brand me as mad. I withheld my contact, confident in my knowledge of his future movements after high school. We would meet again, and Jack would think it was fate rather than premeditation. Finally, the school year began. Classes in high school were really easy. I started planning for the second meeting with Jack during the National Day holiday. I found a part-time job cleaning the ice hockey rink. On the morning of the third day, Jack came to practice. I secretly watched him from behind. When he was almost done practicing, I whispered, "You should twist your wrist when passing the puck." Jack suddenly turned around. I couldn't see the look in his eyes under his hat, but I could feel his shock. "Can you see my weakness?" "How?" he asked. I pretended to be clueless. "I can see a little. Do we know each other?" Jack took off his hat, and there was a glimmer of surprise in his eyes. I exaggeratedly opened my mouth wide. "Oh, it's you." At noon, we had a meal together. "You're a minor. Why are you still working here?" he asked. "Shoo, don't let the boss find out." "I'm pretending to be an adult." "Do you need money that badly?" he inquired. "My dad died in a car accident. Mom took all the money and left with my sister. What else could I do if I didn't work?" Jack was silent for a moment. "Come and practice ice hockey with me later," he said. I hesitated. "I still have to sweep the floor." 5,000 yuan per hour, my dear boss," Jack laughed, almost spitting out his food. After playing in the afternoon, Jack asked me to have dinner again. I was about to agree when I saw Sophia looking around outside the stadium. "Let's make an appointment next time." "I have to go now." When paying, we exchanged contact information. After returning to the hotel, Jack sent a message. "Did you get home safely?" I couldn't help but smile, but I only replied with a simple, After the holiday, I began preparing to sign up for the debate competition. In my previous life, although Jack and I knew each other at school, he was in class 1, and I was in the last class. He lived on the top floor, and I lived in the basement. We were two people who were unlikely to have any intersection. It was precisely because of a debate competition that Jack noticed me. This time, I had to shine even brighter. However, when I prepared the materials, I found that my hometown high school didn't plan to sign up at all. I was so angry that I rolled up my bedding and slept in the hallway outside the principal's house. The principal couldn't persuade me otherwise and finally agreed to help me form a team and sign up, but I had to cover the expenses myself. Fortunately, quite a few classmates wanted to participate. We prepared for the competition and were busy having a great time. Jack would sometimes send me messages, and each time I would stop and read every word several times before replying with just a few words. Before the winter vacation of the first year of high school, I led the debate team to the finals. Jack spotted me immediately. "Did you find another part-time job here?" I showed the school badge. "I'm here to participate in the finals." Jack glanced at the badge and his eyes widened. "You're the debater from Maple Leaf Middle School? With your school's level, making it to the finals can only be described as divine intervention. Half the audience today came to see your team leader. Introduce me to them later." At that moment, a teammate ran over. I confidently smiled and waved my fist. "See you in the arena, Jack." There were 4 teams in the finals. Our team competed against another school first. Having participated once in my previous life, I not only knew the topic but was also familiar with our opponent's weaknesses. Undoubtedly, we won with an overwhelming advantage. Throughout the process, I could feel that familiar gaze growing hotter and hotter. When Jack was competing, I sat in the audience opposite him. He was as calm and composed as in my previous life, methodically breaking down every attack from his opponents. After winning, I saw his gaze searching for me and quickly pulled my classmates away. When it comes to feelings, the more you can't have them, the more you desire them. Jack sent a message, and I only replied with one word: busy. The next day was the final. I sat opposite Jack. In my previous life, he was the first debater, and I was the second. I was familiar with his tactics and would help him block all the loopholes. Now, all his loopholes became my entry points. An hour later, Jack stood up and extended his hand to me. "Congratulations." The familiar warmth came from his palm. I bit the corner of my mouth, holding back tears. After leaving the arena, Jack was surrounded by a crowd. Even though he lost, he was still the center of attention, like the moon surrounded by stars. However, Jack squeezed through the crowd and walked toward me with his long legs. There was a smile on his lips, and his eyes showed an indescribable emotion. "Emily, can I invite you to dinner this afternoon?" The aloof and handsome guy was eagerly inviting a girl to dinner. The scene was quiet for a second, then filled with screams. Am I blind? Jack is actually smiling at that girl and inviting her to dinner? Oh my God, I can't believe it. That girl is also very pretty, and she won the game. My teammates joined in the fun, pushing me forward. Captain, you have time. Go and have dinner. We'll sit at the kids' table. I raised my head and was about to nod when suddenly, someone rushed out of the crowd. Emily, it's impossible. How could you? Sophia's hideous face grew larger as she was about to push me. Jack pulled me behind him, his face dark. Whispers spread among the crowd. She's the daughter of Jack's family's nanny. She always follows him around. She even said that Jack would fall in love with her, but obviously, Jack didn't even glance at her. She's like a toad dreaming of swan meat. She doesn't even know her own place. Of course, even if our fates were reversed, Jack would never fall in love with Sophia. In my past life, after Jack and I got together, I once asked him why he fell in love with me. Jack said, even though you're the nanny's daughter, you always stick to your principles when dealing with people and situations. You're never servile or timid. You seem gentle, but you have a resilient spirit and always handle problems on your own. I admire your sincerity, independence, and self-respect. I feel safe with you. The qualities I had, which Jack loved, were completely absent in Sophia. She didn't like studying and always dreamed of marrying a rich man to achieve instant success. In my past life, when she went abroad, Mom spent a fortune to send her to some obscure university that happened to be in the same country as Jack. She was also cowardly. Every time we had a conflict, she never confronted me directly. Instead, she'd either ask Mom to back her up or secretly play petty tricks to get revenge. Someone like her, even if we started over, even if she were placed beside Jack, could never win his love. Sophia saw the name of my school on my badge and looked at me in disbelief. This can't be. Maple Leaf Middle School didn't participate in this debate competition. How could you be here? Jack's expression darkened. Do you even know what you're talking about? Maple Leaf Middle School is the champion of this tournament. Sophia's eyes darted around, and she suddenly looked at me. It seemed she realized I had also been reborn. I raised an eyebrow slightly, and a flash of panic crossed Sophia's eyes. She shrieked at Jack, "Jack, she's lying to you. She knew you were going to participate in this competition, so she did everything to get close to you just to meet you." Jack replied impatiently, "Sorry, Emily and I have known each other for a long time. I remember you. You're the nanny's daughter. When you were at our house, you broke the rules and kept running upstairs. If you keep bothering me like this, the Daniel family won't tolerate you anymore." Hearing this, Sophia rolled her eyes and suddenly looked at me. "Sister, Jack is going to fire our mom. Aren't you going to say something to defend her?" The young man in front of me froze and turned to me with a questioning look. I nodded calmly. "She's my younger sister, Sophia." The discussion started again. They're sisters? So they're both the nanny's daughters? Has Jack been bewitched? What kind of people is he surrounding himself with? Why do these two sisters seem so distant? The students of HHI Middle School were either wealthy or noble. To them, the nanny's daughters weren't worthy of having any connection with Jack. My teammates couldn't stand it. What's wrong with being the nanny's daughter? I'm the cleaner's daughter, and we still beat your school. I'm the taxi driver's son, so what? If you've got the guts, let's see who's stronger in the competition. For a moment, the scene turned chaotic. Sophia smirked smugly. We're all the nanny's daughters. Who could possibly be worthy of Jack? I sneered inwardly. She couldn't have him herself and didn't want me to have him either. Unfortunately, she didn't understand Jack at all. Jack's gaze softened even more. So, this is the family that abandoned you? I smiled brightly. I'm happy today. Let's not talk about unpleasant things. Jack understood what I meant. Then let's go have dinner. I pulled my teammates, who were still arguing, and followed Jack. From a distance, I saw the resentment in Sophia's eyes. I slightly curled the corners of my lips. The real show had just begun. Knowing we came by long-distance bus, Jack drove us back to school. The principal had already heard about our victory and was waiting at the gate with the teachers to welcome us. As soon as we got off the bus, the The principal handed me an envelope with a smile. Emily, you've really brought honor to our school. This is the school's reward for you. I opened it and saw it was about 30,000 yuan. Wasn't this the expense I had prepaid? The principal was being a bit stingy. My teammates chimed in, yeah, we contributed too. Don't we get anything? Give ours to Emily as well. Emily spent all her money taking us to the competition. The principal gave a dry laugh. All right, everyone will get something. I glanced at Jack beside me and said to the principal, Principal, I led everyone to victory. Can I stay in the dorm during winter break? The principal looked embarrassed. It's not that I'm being unkind, but there's no water or electricity during the break, and the dorm is uninhabitable. The teacher asked in confusion, Emily, don't you have a place to live? Where are your parents? I lowered my head and didn't answer. My teammates, who knew about my family situation, put their arms around my shoulders. Emily, come on, stay at my place. Spend the spring festival with my family. I looked at her gratefully but didn't say yes. Finally, Jack's calm, clear voice rang out. Don't worry, everyone. Emily is coming home with me. The teacher frowned and stared at Jack. Emily, you're a good student. You mustn't fall in love too early. Jack coughed lightly. Emily's mom works at my house. I'll take her to see her. After packing my things, I got into Jack's Maybach. However, Jack didn't take me to his home. Instead, he took me to a small house. I know you don't want to see them. This house used to belong to my mom. It's cleaned regularly and isn't far from my place. You can stay here comfortably. Call me if you need anything. Looking at the familiar house, I took a deep breath to hold back the sadness in my heart. In my past life, after we confirmed our relationship, Jack brought me here every month when he returned to China. We would also meet here. No one knew this place better than me, and no one understood its significance more than I did. I turned to Jack. Why are you so good to me? Jack's cheeks turned slightly red, and he stammered, Well, we're connected by fate. I can't just stand by when you're in trouble. Consider it a congratulations for winning the championship. I put my hands behind my back, stood on my tiptoes, and moved my face closer until our foreheads and eyes were almost touching. Isn't it because you like me? Jack's breath hitched, and the tips of his ears turned so red they looked like they were about to bleed. He took 2 steps back. You. Rest first. Jack fled in a hurry, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud. 16-year-old Jack was so easy to tease. Early the next morning, Mom called. Emily, what on earth are you doing? How did you get to know Jack? I replied coldly. I met him through a part-time job. A part-time job? Who allowed you to do that? I smirked.
As soon as you left, you stopped giving living expenses to Uncle. Uncle drove me out that very day. How could I survive if I didn't do a part-time job? Mom was choked for a moment and quickly changed the topic. Why are we talking about this? I'm warning you. Don't act like a slut in front of the young master. A chill ran through my heart. How could a mother say such things to her daughter? I didn't show any weakness. Then you'd better keep an eye on my sister. I heard that she's always following him around. I think she's much more slutty than I am. Mom got anxious. How can Sophia be the same as you? She's born to marry into a wealthy family. Only she can be worthy of the young master. Anyway, I'm telling you that if you dare to see the young master again, don't ever call me Mom in the future. Oh. Auntie. Mom exploded. You. How dare you, Emily? Originally, you were awarded to your father, and I had no obligation to take care of you. Now that you're so disobedient, I won't send you to study abroad in the future. I took a sip of water to suppress the nausea in my heart. The reason you took care of me was that you wanted to get the 800,000 yuan compensation from the driver who caused the accident. What's studying abroad? It's just a lie to make me stay in my hometown obediently. Do you think I'll believe it? In the previous life, I didn't know until I arrived at the Daniel family. Mom told the president of the Daniel family that she only had one daughter and wanted to bring her over to live together. The president of the Daniel family agreed and also promised to let her go to school with Jack. She seemed to give us two options. In fact, she only wanted to take Sophia away. The words about studying abroad were just a cover to make me keep quiet. Otherwise, in the previous life, after I arrived at the Daniel family, she didn't want to spend a penny on me. In this life, she stopped the living expenses as soon as she left. From the beginning to the end, there was only Sophia as her daughter in her heart. After being hit on the nail about what was on her mind, there was no sound on the phone for a long time. It was almost 9 o'clock. I walked to the living room with the phone in my hand. There was a vintage clock hanging in the living room, which would make a buzzing sound every hour during the day. At exactly 9 o'clock, the buzzing sound rang out. The person on the phone sounded as if they had seen a ghost. Emily, where are you? I don't know where it is. Jack brought me here and asked me to stay here for a while. It's impossible. That's the house where the lady lived before she passed away. How could the young master let you stay there? Mom usually came to clean this place too. She knew better than anyone else how Jack felt about this house. I smiled gently and lowered my voice. It seems that this house is very important to Jack. Doesn't that mean that I'm also very important to him? Mom, I'm also your daughter. If I enter the Daniel family, won't you also become the in-laws of the Daniel family? Mom's tone seemed to waver a little. But what about Sophia? I had an idea and threw out the bait. Actually, there's another way to let Sophia also benefit from the Daniel family. What way? There's not only Jack in the Daniel family. The president of the Daniel family has been single for many years too. The person on the other end of the phone was stunned. What do you mean? Isn't it common for a nanny to marry her employer? You've worked in the Daniel family for so many years. You've already figured out the temperament of the president of the Daniel family. Moreover, you gave birth early and still look good for your age. Haven't you ever thought about becoming the mistress of the Daniel family? Obviously shocked by my words, Mom's voice weakened. What nonsense are you talking about? I'm not talking nonsense at all. Anyway, Sophia has no chance now. If you marry into the Daniel family, Sophia will be the eldest daughter of the Daniel family. What good intentions could you have? I just want to tell you that it's better to improve yourself than to push your children hard. If you really love Sophia, how can you make her a young lady without taking a risk? Think about it carefully. This kind of thing is better done sooner rather than later. After all, age waits for no one. After hanging up the phone, I stretched myself long. In the previous life, Mom had such an idea, but she didn't take action for Sophia's sake. Now that Sophia has no chance, it's her turn to play. On the fourth day, Jack came. I leaned against the door frame and stared at him. Jack's cheeks turned slightly red. I came to see if you lack anything? I curled the corners of my mouth. You just wanted to see me. Jack immediately blushed even more and opened his mouth slightly, not daring to look at me. I mainly came to bring you something. I didn't realize before that he was so much fun. I held back my laughter and looked at the handbag in his hand. What is it? Seeing that I stopped teasing him, Jack breathed a sigh of relief and took out the things in the bag. A pile of test papers. Seeing my astonished look, Jack smiled. High school studies are heavy. Don't slack off even during the holidays. Come on, let's do a few sets of questions together. With that, he put the books on the desk, arranged the stools properly, and made a gesture of invitation. So this was how the young master expressed his liking, by doing questions together. No wonder in the previous life, after the debate competition, Jack asked me to study and do questions with him. As the sun set in the west, Jack and I had dinner downstairs together. I took a photo of the two of us, located the address, and posted it on Moments, making it visible only to Sophia. Not long after seeing Jack off, there was a knock on the door. Sophia stood outside the door, fuming with anger. Emily, do you know what this house means to Jack? What gives you the right to live here? I calmly watched her impotent rage. What gives me the right? It's my place in Jack's heart. Sophia's eyes flickered, and there was a fierce look in them. I could break you two up in the previous life, and I can definitely do it in this life too. I probed. In the previous life, Mom helped you. Does she still help you now? Sophia's eyes widened suddenly. It's you. What did you say to Mom? She actually told me to stay away from Jack. It seemed that Mom had taken the bait. I invited Sophia in. What could I say? I just made her understand that Jack likes me. Anyway, we're both her daughters. Isn't it the same for her whether I or you enter the Daniel family? No way. Whether in the previous life or this life, Mom only has me as her daughter in her heart. When people face interests, what's the point of talking about family affection? Didn't she recognize me just for that 800,000 yuan? Sophia lowered her head and didn't say anything. It seemed that her inner defense was collapsing. You two always boasted about your deep mother-daughter bond. Well, I'll make you turn against each other. I put my hands on her shoulders and pressed her onto the stool. In the previous life, you tried to interfere in my relationship with Jack and even caused my death, but Jack still died for me. Now that Jack has feelings for me, you can't succeed again. We're sisters. We don't have to fight to the death. There's not only Jack in the Daniel family. Sophia looked puzzled. Isn't Jack the only heir in the Daniel family? I curled the corners of my mouth and tempted her. The president of the Daniel family, you've seen him, right? Although he's middle-aged, he's still tall and handsome, and compared to Jack, he has the charm of a more mature man. Look at you, so young and pretty. If you're willing to flirt with him a little, it'll be easy to win him over. By then, won't our sisters be the ones in charge of the Daniel family? Sophia's expression changed, and she looked eager to give it a try. But the president of the Daniel family is often away from home. How can I know when he'll be back. I'll lead Jack away that day. Whether you succeed or not depends on you. Will you really help me? Sophia looked at me suspiciously. I spoke sincerely. Of course. After what happened in the previous life, don't you understand? Fighting each other will only lead to a lose-lose situation. Only cooperation can bring a win-win result. Moreover, we're both reborn people. We have a common secret. We should be friends, not enemies. Sophia let out a breath and relaxed. Sister, I really didn't expect you could help me like this. If I succeed this time, I'll definitely get the president of the Daniel family to agree to your relationship with Jack. Then Jack and I will rely on you. When seeing Sophia off, I told her not to tell Mom about this, for I was afraid that Mom couldn't accept a son-in-law as old as her. Sophia left with an understanding look on her face. Jack came every day. Going through high school studies again, these test questions were easy for me. Every time, I would finish them quickly and then lie on the table, looking at him. His brows that sometimes relaxed and sometimes furrowed slightly, his twinkling pupils, the fine beads of sweat on his nose, his slightly red lips, his rolling Adam's apple, and his gradually reddening earlobes. I took in all these details and engraved them in my heart. It was as if I was making up for the youth when I was too timid to look at him directly before. Jack's Adam's apple was rolling faster and faster, and finally, he forced out a mosquito-like sound through his teeth. Go and rest after you finish writing. Is there something on my face? I leaned forward and got close to his eyes. There's nothing on your face. It's just that you're as good-looking as a flower. Click. The pen in Jack's hand dropped. I bent down to pick it up, but through the bottom of the table, I saw his tight pants. He was still so gifted that I had gone too far with my teasing. I was a reborn person, while Jack was still a genuine high school student. Putting down the pen, I quickly left the study. Jack seemed to guess what I had seen. When he came out of the study, his face was red all the way to his neck. My dad will take me back to the old house today, so we won't have dinner together. Wait. I stopped Jack, who was fleeing in a hurry. There will be fireworks by the moat tomorrow night. Let's go and watch them together, okay? Okay. Before going to bed at night, I called Sophia. I'll lead Jack away tomorrow night. As for Mom, I didn't need to remind her at all. She was familiar with the habits of the president of the Daniel family. Every time he came back from the old house, he would stay at home for 2 days. By the moat, the wind was biting cold. Gorgeous fireworks were blooming in the sky one after another. The moment the fireworks ended, snow began to fall in the sky. The young couples around let out screams of surprise. I rubbed my hands to warm them up and covered Jack's freezing red ears. Jack smiled, and he was even more beautiful than the fireworks. On the way back, I told Jack that I want to see Mom. Jack agreed without hesitation. The closer we got to the Daniel family, the more excited I became. In the previous life, for the development of the group, the president of the Daniel family agreed to an arranged marriage with the Grace family and was going to marry Grace, who was 20 years younger. After Grace married into the Daniel family, the first thing she did was to drive Jack to another villa of the Daniel family. Fortunately, the president of the Daniel family wasn't muddled. After much persuasion, he managed to let Jack stay. Grace couldn't stand Jack and tried to undermine the relationship between father and son in both overt and covert ways. After Jack's younger brother was born, the relationship between Jack and his father became worse and worse. After the college entrance examination, Jack chose to go abroad. And tonight was the first time Grace came to the Daniel family. Pushing open the door, the noise inside stopped Jack in his tracks. I walked forward a few steps and looked inside. At the door of the president of the Daniel family's room on the 4th floor, Mom and Sophia were scuffling with each other while wearing very seductive nightgowns. They were also shouting vulgar and nasty swear words. "You shameless slut! How dare you try to seduce him at your age? I'll beat you to death today. Ah, you're no better. You old bastard, how dare you?" The circle of bodyguards around them wanted to pull them apart but didn't know where to start. The president of the Daniel family stood at the door with a dark face. Grace stood at the top of the stairs, her face flushed red, not knowing what she was thinking. Just after Mom slapped Sophia hard, Sophia saw me downstairs. I raised my eyebrows and showed a smug expression. Sophia's eyes widened. "Emily, it's your doing." Finally, Sophia came to her senses and turned to persuade Mom. "Mom, calm down. We've both been deceived by Emily." However, Mom, whose clothes had been torn to shreds, had already lost her sanity. She waved her arms and directly grabbed Sophia by the neck. "I can't afford to lose face like this. All of you, just die." During the struggle, Sophia was pinned firmly against the railing. The president of the Daniel family's expression changed. "Hurry up and pull them apart. Don't let anyone die." The bodyguards rushed forward in a swarm. In the scuffle, Mom pushed hard, and Sophia's body tilted and she fell from the railing. With a loud bang, her head hit the raw stone in the living room. Blood splattered everywhere and her brains flowed out. Her wide-open eyes stared straight at me. My heart trembled for a moment but soon calmed down. In the previous life, Sophia had caused the deaths of me and Jack. This was all her karma. Ah. Grace's face turned deathly pale with fright and she stumbled and ran out. Only then did Mom come to her senses and threw herself down from the 4th floor. "Sophia. My Sophia." The president of the Daniel family frowned. "Call the police." By the time the police arrived, Mom had already started to lose her mind. She was crying and laughing at the same time and from time to time she would lunge at the president of the Daniel family. When Mom was taken away by the police, I felt a sense of relief as if a great vengeance had been avenged. When I turned around, I found Jack standing rigidly behind me. His face was cold and gloomy, his expression indifferent, and there was deep horror in his eyes. Jack didn't know about our grudges in the previous life. He must have misunderstood. I quickly suppressed the upward curve of my lips and walked towards Jack. But he didn't give me a chance to explain and sidestepped onto the stairs. I was just about to chase after him when the bodyguards blocked my way. "Excuse me, please leave immediately." Jack's figure disappeared on the top floor. I sighed and left with the police. Mom went crazy after intentionally killing someone. So she was still sentenced. I was the only one left in the family. The compensation from Dad's accident and the money Mom had saved over the years all came into my hands, totaling more than 2 million yuan. When my uncle found out, he called me. His words implied that since I was young, he was willing to adopt me and let me go back to live with him. I don't know how many dirty words I said. In the end, I actually made my uncle block me. Well, that was for the best. It was a once-and-for-all solution. After that day, the arranged marriage between the Grace family and the Daniel family was cancelled. Jack also completely disappeared from my life. He didn't reply to my messages and his phone couldn't be reached. I packed my luggage and left that house. 3 years later, on the night when the college entrance examination ended, I went downstairs to throw out the garbage and was just coming back. As I was about to close the door, a dark figure squeezed in from outside. I picked up my ice hockey stick, ready to strike. But then I saw a familiar face. Jack, reeking of alcohol, pinned me against the corner of the wall. "Emily, would you like to study abroad with me?" At this moment, it was as if we had gone back to the previous life. I blurted out. "I don't have the money." Jack was stunned, and the corners of his eyes gradually turned red. "The necklace was originally lost. I taught you ice hockey. We were supposed to be on the same team in the debate competition. We were once together. All these things in my dreams are real, right?" I reached out to touch his face and gently wiped away the tears from the corners of his eyes with my fingertips. "Jack, don't give up your life for anyone anymore, including me." Jack couldn't hold back any longer and pulled me tightly into his arms. "I'm sorry. I've let you bear those terrifying memories alone all these years." Jack and I made up. In this life, we both applied to domestic universities. After graduating from university, Jack took over the Tianhao Group. I opened a welfare institution to shelter every orphan left behind. Another cold winter came. Jack and I witnessed the first snowfall under the fireworks, for years to come.